Hello. Within the scientific community, one of the largest controversies to date has been that of climate change and pollution. Throughout history, humans have continuously had negative effects on this planet, especially with increasing industrialization. Large corporations have paid absurd amounts of money to not only ease the minds of the public, but also by fabricating their tactics and undermining the importance of the issue itself, all in hopes that they can make more money throughout our ignorance. Pollution is one of the greatest threats to ecosystems around the world, but many are unaware of just how much pollution occurs, as well as the impact it has on the human population and the planet itself. For my final project, I have chosen two infographics that I feel help to portray the causes and significance in our world today of the issue that is pollution. Today I'll be evaluating these two infographics using the CRAAP method, in which the currency, relevance, authority, accuracy, and purpose will each be under investigation in order to test if these infographics truthfully display the impact of pollution or adhere to the biased propaganda that can be widely found regarding this topic. The first infographic that I have chosen to review comes from the European Environment Agency. This infographic was published to this website in 2020, showing that the information provided is fairly recent and up-to-date, though there is no distinction that has ever been revised to show the more recent data. From a relevance standpoint, the information provided dives into the causes of pollution around the world, but more primarily those affecting Europe. I believe that the EEA is a very credible source, as it not only works with the European Environmental Information and Observation Network, but consists of 32 member countries that provide the data portrayed. The accuracy of this infographic can also be seen through the authority previously mentioned, as it comes from multiple sources rather than just one. After further review, I believe that this infographic is very purposeful in not only providing an easier method to convey the information on pollution itself, but providing its readers with a factual interpretation of the impact as well. There are many visual aspects of this infographic that help convey the purpose effectively as well. Firstly, the infographic uses three main colors: green, blue, and purple. Within the illustration itself, the use of blues and greens allow the reader to see the areas of impact and easily see the difference between the land and ocean pollution factors. Aside from the visual aspects that make this infographic appealing, there are also many structural design choices that help as well. The author bolds and significantly increases the size of the statistical values, which I feel helps catch the eye of the reader and allows the author to stress how large the percentage values for each pollution factor is. I believe that the size of this infographic may have been a bit large and takes away from the significance of the surrounding statistics, but still overall allows the reader to see where the different types of pollution occur very easily. The intended audience for this infographic mainly pertains to younger audiences, and more particularly those in Europe who are affected by these types of pollution. It is very illustrated as well, which can attribute to the focus of younger viewers. I believe the creator of this infographic was more of a creative thinker, mostly seen through the design choices of the central graphic. Although I feel as though this infographic effectively portrayed the purpose of underlining the causes of pollution to its audience, there were minor changes that I would have made in order to further convey this message. Firstly, I would add the color of the statistics from purple to something a bit more menacing like a red, which I feel would help display the importance and severity of the statistics better. I would also like to change the size of the central graphic. Though it is appealing and helps connect with younger audiences, I feel as though the emphasis should lie within the statistics instead of the illustration itself. The second infographic that I've chosen to analyze comes from the Institute for Health Metrics and Evaluation, or the IHME. And though the infographic does not focus on pollution as a whole, it instead dives deeper into the factors of air pollution and the effect around the world. The currency of this infographic slightly falters when compared to the first, as it was created in 2013 and revised in 2016. Though it may not be as recent as the first, and the data may slightly different now, 6 years later, I believe the relevance of this infographic is still met, as the statistical value provided help to answer the question and significance of air pollution. Similar to the authority of the first infographic, the authority here is not in question, as the IHME has been found a very credible source, being backed by the University of Washington School of Medicine, and multiple sources can be found at the bottom of the infographic. From an accuracy standpoint, the language provided within this graphic is also very unbiased and does not show signs of propaganda material, and the sources below were found to be accurate for the time of publication. After investigation, I found the purpose of this infographic being to display factual information regarding global air pollution and the significance it has on our world today. Apart from the CRAAP method, there were various visual and structural design choices that helped convey this purpose effectively as well. From a visual standpoint, the use of the global map with hotspot coloration displays the severity of the situation very well, as areas with lower casualty are signified by cooler colors, and areas with higher casualties are signified with warmer colors, such as the deep reds found in areas such as China and India. With colors playing such a large role for this infographic, the use of a deep red can signify the brutality of these highly polluted areas. Some of the structural aspects of this infographic, like the linear conduction of the figures and writing below the map, also allow for an easier viewing experience as well. It seems as though this infographic is well organized and split into two distinct styles from the top map to the lower statistical information. I feel as though the audience for this infographic can be recognized as adults, more specifically those with prior knowledge on the subject matter as well. With this infographic relying heavily on the statistical information and graphical representation rather than a simple illustration in first, it's easy to decipher that the creator was much more of a critical thinker than a creative one as well. Overall, I believe that even though this infographic differs greatly from the first, it too effectively portrays the message of severity of pollution around the world, especially with its use of coloration. There were also aspects of this infographic, like the first, that I would change as well, starting with the font size for the statistical information. It feels as though the graphics are disproportionate in size to the information being displayed, which makes it feel somewhat difficult to read without zooming in. For the infographic I created, aspects from each of the two previous were utilized, but there were many changes I'd put in as well. First, the intended audience for this one would be different from the other two, as it's intended for a much younger age group, particularly those younger than high school students. I wanted to keep key components of the first infographic as well, where the focus was found on the illustrations instead of the information provided. Unlike the other two, however, I used much simpler language and less graphical representation in order to further keep the interest with those in the appropriate age range. The main coloration of this infographic is primarily blue, hoping to instill a sense of trust and reliability, which in turn would help the viewers feel as though the information is not biased and improve my credibility at the topic at hand. After creating my new infographic, I feel as though I've definitely leaned towards the more creative side instead of the critical, mostly due to the intended audience. That being said, I want to thank you for listening to this project, and I hope that you found this information as useful as I have in evaluating how infographics use different methods to portray to their audiences better. Thank you.